Good morning, DFW. I'm faking it. There's Luann Morris. She's sick.
I'm
Hey,
faking it too.
hey, poor baby. And here's me, Deborah Colleen Rose, and we're talking again. Get over it. No, that's not what we're supposed to say, is it?
No, Deborah, this is supposed to be a positive time now. So stop. We're
Wait a
supposed,
minute. I got to tell you, you like my hat?
it's okay.
Uh, you know where I
Yes,
got
your
it?
your hat is adorable. Yes, of course.
I just got this. This is a new hat. You know why?
Why?
I bought it. I bought it in South Texas last week when I was out there on that paranormal investigation.
It's in San Antonio?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And we had to have a pit stop, and we're at this nice little truck stop. It wasn't Bucky's. We went to three Bucky's on this trip. We had to have some beaver nuts. And but we stopped at this one place, and I'm like killing time waiting on Martha, and I'm like, look at this hat. I had to have this hat.
Okay.
It's a
That's
Kenny
right.
K.
I wore my witch hat this weekend. Let's see if I
Well, it
can.
pays to advertise. She just left the show. Where did you go? Hello, we're
Leave you for
recording.
Walmart.
We're recording.
Yes, I know, but I thought my witch hat was right here. It's my casual witch hat, which means
Oh,
it's not real pointy and tall. It's just a little bit tall. So it's my
casual with
ca-
day.
casual witch hat. And I want everyone to know that this was a total accident, that I put on my pink shirt because it's Monday morning and I'm really looking for um something bright to feel good at, or to feel good in, and spread the cheer instead of the way that my cold is making me feel, which is
That's so
downright like, stop, really.
cool. She's she's trying to cheer us up. That's so precious. I'm in the mood today. I've already taken mom to the doctor. It's Monday, and I've already been to the damn doctor and back, and I'm just not. I'm not a morning person, and I'm not a Monday person. So why do we do this on Monday?
To try to make a better thing out of the week. I that was my hope, that we could kind of get things going, get things rolling, and get thought processes going, because sometimes when we get together we actually do think about things instead of just
Well, we like to
rolling.
think we do at least.
Yeah, yeah. um I
So, I did that paranormal thing last week.
uh-huh.
After saying for years I would never do that. It was really interesting. And I've actually consulted with an authority with a church. I've consulted with someone who's in tune and very knowledgeable about uh, gypsy or travelers magic and stuff. And it's
Mhm.
been an education. And you said that you were doing some research on all of this. What happened?
I actually I plugged it in paranormal research groups, and oh my gosh, Lubbock, Midland, Lubbock, Odessa, all out in West Texas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Galveston. Um, I thought, wow, really? I never heard of some of these places. North Texas, and I do know about several in North Texas. I belong to Crossings Paranormal, and I belong to a new one called Boo Y'all Paranormal Investigations.
That's just precious.
You
Booyah.
should think so. It is. We are precious. But we wanted to bring a Texas, how do we let them know where we are? How do we let them know that not everything is serious, but that we're serious investigators? So maybe we'll do that through our advertising, because Boo Y'all is definitely Texan or Southern. and that's what we are. And East Texas has several. Uh, and I guess my whole point is, wow, we're a big state. We can use a lot of different investigating entities all over the state and still be okay.
Yeah,
You know,
but I take issue on some things. Go figure.
not you. No.
Well, because I have my private investigation company,
Mm,
and we have to get licensed as an investigator. We have to do continuing education. We have to provide our a background check, and show that we are of sound mind and body to a certain level, and do things to carry insurance. We have to have errors and omissions and liability insurance and stuff. So my issue is, it's one thing to say I'm a paranormal investigator and you're doing this as entertainment and you're putting it up on the internet or
mhm,
TV. I mean, but there are a lot of people, because I get calls like this, not every day, but quite often, of people having troubles in their house that they want to go away, you know? And so my thing is number one is that, how do you know if I'm going to get on the internet, because it's easy to, like you said, it's easy to find all these groups. If I'm going to get on the internet and I'm going to look for someone to help me because, someone keeps knocking over my water glass at 2 o'clock in the morning or pulling my covers off or whatever, who do I call? How do I validate them? How do I know that they're not some kind of scam artist that's going to come in, and even if they don't charge me an arm and a leg, they're casing out my house to rob it later.
right.
Um, that they're actually going to be able to help me and not create more problems because they don't know what they're doing. It seems to me that the industry has now become an industry. It's not just a, a woo woo conversation that people have late at night over a beer. And how do we, vet these people and make sure that we're dealing with professionals, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Well, yes, you're right. You don't want to just, oh yeah, here, this name, I like this name. Let's go with these people. Um, First of all, I think that there does have to be a certain amount of vetting. And for someone who's psychic or does the research, we depend on people we've worked for to tell others whether we're serious about this or not.
Yeah.
And I think having a background check would be good, but how does that really tell you what I did with the paranormal?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, there's nothing you can, but it tells me, that I'm not hiring a criminal, you know.
Correct. Correct.
You're not a sex offender that might come into my house and take advantage of me. You're not a convicted felon, so I need to hammer down all the things in my house. And if I did that anyway, I wouldn't need you because it wouldn't fly around the house anymore. So yeah. It's just it's opening up a lot of legal and ethical issues that I don't think people have thought about yet. And and what is your you know what is your mode of operation? How do you vet your clients on the other side of the fence? Um, I was privy to a thread last week of a paranormal investigation group, and these people are going, "Well, that woman's just crazy," and blah 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 blah, and they had nothing to support that. They hadn't really interviewed her. They hadn't reviewed her videotapes that she'd taken of the activity in her house and all this stuff. So how did they make that assessment? And
Because anything out of their normal range, they consider crazy.
that's my whole point. And so if that's your mode of thought, I like mode today for some reason. Um, how are you going to stay open minded to all kinds of things? Like for me, um, I got this thrown in my face yesterday and during a conversation that I cannot approach everything from a Judeo-Christian perspective to be fully aware of possibilities of energy. And I went, really? And I've had to analyze that. And part of me's like, no, I don't have to. And then part of me's like, well, if thought generates energy and people think a certain way, then they can create a certain energy. That's just practical scientific theory that can be debated or promoted or whatever. And so if they think a certain way, then I have to look at it from that certain way to be able to approach it to the best of my ability, whether I agree with it or not. So that opened up a whole can of worms for me personally. So,
Well, and there's nothing that keeps you from talking to the person kind of in charge of signing that group up either, um, to ask those simple questions. But Deborah, if you are taking what you, if your life is based on God, creator, and your Christian values, then your business is already based in that. If those are your beliefs, you're not going to change your beliefs just to go hunt for a spirit that's lost.
oh no, no, I'm not going to change my beliefs, but it changes the way I'm going to communicate with the person that I'm dealing with. You have to understand where
Okay.
they're coming from.
Yeah.
And so here's another interesting point. Okay. So thought is energy. And we make decisions in our lives that impact our behaviors and that are lodged in our subconscious. And that's usually done during a heightened, deepened emotional state.
Mm.
So if someone is afraid and something happens and they make a decision that this is what this is during that heightened, deepened emotional state, you've got to really dig into a way of connecting with them to shift that belief system. So my point with that is that we're not just dealing with the spiritual realm, we're dealing with the psychological realm as well when you're dealing with these issues. And I think that that's why a lot of times people will have these healing sessions or they'll have these cleansing sessions, blah, 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 whatever. And if you don't reach that person on their level of their heightened emotional state with their core belief, nothing's going to change, not permanently.
So, do you believe a lot of paranormal activity is brought into our space by ourselves?
I do. I do. We open the door in a lot of ways. We could open the door because we want to be in contact with that energy or that person or that, deity or whatever it is. It could be a desire in our deep subconscious because of a lack or a longing that we have. Um, and there's so much about, like my grandmother was struck by lightning twice and survived, but she couldn't wear a watch. So, in my mind, that tells me that that affected her electromagnetic field, which is again energy. So, what did
Correct.
that open her up to? Did that make her more gifted? Did it hinder her gifts? There's just so much that we don't know. And during the 60s, everybody was, involved in studying LSD and, being able to mind read and, things of that nature. And they never did come to any, specific
Right
conclusions.
conclusion?
Yeah. So we don't know. We're dealing with a lot of the unknown. So it brings me back to my original point. If we're dealing with a lot of the unknown, how do I know you're the right person to deal with? You
Right.
know?
And that's where I think that anyone worth their grain of salt will say, we can talk to you on the phone. You can interview us. You can ask us questions. What is our modality? What kind of thing do we like to do first? The group I'm involved with, it's not just about standing in the room and sensing, although that's what we all do. We do have equipment that can sense and or see activity. one of the pieces of equipment, I wish Jen was here. She's the expert on the equipment.
Martha, my God, you should see all the equipment Martha's got. If you're a
This is,
geek that loves technology,
uh, it would make your mouth stand open.
oh yeah.
This one originated from what happened in the Wii um, gaming thing. Um, it's about detecting people's bodies, and it not it picks up energy is what it picks up.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. We were using that a couple years ago at the Jefferson Hotel. It's really
Right.
interesting.
So on the camera, you actually see a stick figure if
Yeah.
there's energy there. And in the background, you can see regular people, but the energy from the entity will show up as a stick figure because of the projection of the how it picks up the projection of the energy. And I
Well, see,
find
to
that,
me, the perfect modality of this, it's not like I have a ton of experience with this. I'm not trying to make
yeah, I
myself
don't
sound like,
either.
but like, is to bring in the science or pseudoscience, because I do have a lot of questions about some of this equipment. Is that you bring in the equipment and the best quality equipment that you can, and then you also bring in the spiritually aware person, and you play devil's advocate with each other,
Yes.
and you try to find where you can meet together. Because like one of the things, Martha and I did an experiment a couple of years ago when we were um, at a historical hotel, and we put one of those ghost box apps on our phones, that you can
Mhm.
download. Those are, fun and creepy at the same time. And we put our phones side by side. And her phone picked up different things than my phone picked up, supposedly, different words, different phrases. And so, it's the same app and they're getting the same signals. Why were they not picking up the same things? You
Yeah,
know?
that's to me, that's iffy technology.
Yeah, it's real iffy. And of course, it's an app, it's on a phone. We're not dealing with high quality equipment. I get all that. But at the same time, there should have been some correlation between the two, you would think.
Yeah.
So I just wonder. And one of my biggest complaints is like, I don't watch a lot of the paranormal. I really don't watch paranormal TV and all this other stuff. I just go with my own personal desires and experiences. But like, I do like Jack Osborne's show. I got hooked on that watching Martha's interview when she did the Haunted Hill House
Right.
interview with Jack Osborne. And they have all this equipment, but they never seem to set it all up at one time in the same room. And to me, if I have a ghost box and then I have the LED light thing that goes off and anything else, I'm going to set all of that up at the same time in the same room to see if they're all interacting and registering at the same time. To me, that's
And
just
that
common
sounds
sense.
and that sounds logical, yes. The problem is that sometimes the equipment actually play off each other because they're all sending out these signals.
Well,
So
then
it's
you got
some
microwaves, you got TVs, you got cell phones, you've
right.
got the Wi-Fi down the street. So, I mean, you've got all these things to take in accountability as far as energy. And now, that we're not even going down this rabbit hole, but I am going to mention it. People are complaining about 5G and what it's doing to our bodies. And I
Right.
have
And
had,
I'm not sure I'm on board with that.
well, I've
But
had several people tell me that they actually are getting radiation burns from the 5G. I don't even know how to process that. I'm not scientific enough to
mhm.
know why. Uh, but the one correlation, I've had three different people tell me this. The correlation that I saw with all three people is that they said that they had heavy metal toxins in their bodies from fillings
Before
and different things over the years.
before.
Before, yeah,
Mm.
before. So, I'm like, I used to be a huge skeptic on everything, and I've learned to be a little more receiving, open-minded.
Well,
The bottom line is that people want you to do something to fix it. Let's fix
I
it,
have
you know?
experienced what we're called spirit box. I don't know if you, I'm sure,
Luann, get out of my house. Luann, get out of my house. Go!
because what happens is the radio wave frequencies, you can allow them to travel backwards in this box. And so you're picking up words. Well, then you put on headphones so you can hear what the radio box is hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you put on blinders so you're not influenced by the things that are happening around you and in your room. So you can't hear anyone, you can't see anyone. And the person on the other side of the room is asking spirit questions. Your job, your only job, is not to hear them. Your job is to hear the words that come through the headphone. Now, the first time I experienced it, I thought, okay, maybe that's okay. Yeah, I believe that. Maybe. The second time it happened, I was the observer and I saw the person receiving the words through the box, and I saw the person that was asking the questions, and I was hearing everything at once. And the person asking the questions, which was my cold is really affecting me today. Wow. Elizabeth was asking the questions. Jen was listening to the radio. Elizabeth would ask the questions to Spirit, and everything that Jen responded made sense.
Oh,
Every
I think
detail.
that's very possible. I don't see why that wouldn't be possible. I think there's a lot of legitimate things out there. But at the same time, I think that we have to do what we can to provide a sense of validity and authenticity and
Yes,
integrity in what we do. Otherwise, we're just, because I've heard a lot of stories from people that have been on shows, different shows and different interviews and stuff where the editing is not quite what really happened, because it doesn't make for good TV or whatever. And,
right.
that crap happens. I get that. But, as paranormal investigators, and you and I have talked about going out and doing this more and having this as a focus, how do we do that and come at it from a sense of not being full of ourselves, not being pompous, being authentic, being transparent, but being very professional at the same time and providing a service that is worthwhile. That's my whole point. If you just go out
Yes,
there and this happened, oh my God, and this happened, oh my God, this happened. And so what? What have you accomplished?
and that kind of is what turns me off about TV and about the
Mhm.
paranormal programs, because a lot of times if I go out and doing a paranormal investigation and I'm not expecting to either be touched, hear something, or frightened by something that, or something there that might frighten me, I need to expect that and not run out of the room screaming like a little girl.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That cracks me up. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you can't handle this, why are you there in the first place?
Exactly.
Seriously.
And to me, that's not being in integrity. You're not, you can say, "Oh, that kind of scared me," or I can see why somebody might be afraid of that. Not to negate what is happening in someone's home, but not to run out like it's the end of the world. If I
I
had
don't
done
know.
that, what if I had done that during our investigation in Gainesville or McKinney for Karen?
That was an interest. I think that and the one I did in Glen Rose are two of the most interesting cases that I have been involved with because um
Because there
with
was a
the
physical occurrence on my
oh
body during that time.
yeah, yeah. And McKinney had so many things going on at one time. But we had so many levels of energy involved with that house. We had geographical energy. We had
Yes.
multi-generational energy. We had uh,
Native
things that had
American energy.
things that kept happening. And and I'm going to tell you this too. I'm just, and this is going to probably piss some people off. I get really tired of everybody talking about how everything they do is tied to Native American energy. Hey, this whole country is Native American energy. Get over it. You know,
They
this
were
is
here
their
first.
yeah, this is their homeland. Everywhere you go is Native American blood spilt some in some fashion because they were here for thousands of years. Okay, so it just is what it is. It's like going to Ireland and going, oh, I feel all my Celtic energy here. Duh.
I die. Well, the thing about that house, it ran over a creek. And at the
Yep.
time that some of these things occurred, it was an open creek available to anybody, and they would stop there to get their water and so now it's underground.
Yep. Yep. And it was so deeply underground that no one would think about it being something that affected it. And then we had the suicide that took place
Hmm.
on the property. And there's a lot of energy tied to suicide by both the dead and the living.
Yes.
So, you know, uh, I never thought I'd be talking about stuff like this. Never, ever, ever, never, ever. Not from an experience standpoint.
Surprise.
Yeah, yeah. The deal in Glenrose that I did several years back, that's when I got physically attacked. And that was a real interesting thing. And we had some dark energy there that decided they didn't like me being there. Go figure. It's not the first time. But when what the my most fun story about that whole thing is I came home because we had burnt this animal skull that was carrying a lot of negative magic energy in it and one of the bonfires out there. And when we did that, I had a sharp pain in my leg, and it was so bad I actually went to my knees. I mean, my legs just buckled. It was so excruciating. And I got up and it hurt, but I'm thinking, well, I've twisted my back, or this is some kind of weird nerve damage or whatever, because I have sciatica. And so we're covered in soot, all of us that are involved in this. And there was so much stuff that happened on this. If I had not had witnesses, I would have really questioned my sanity, because we had so many things happening out there on this property. But there were witnesses, so that reassures me. But when I got home, the first thing I want to do is take a bath, because covered in all these ashes and stuff, smell like smoke. And I'm getting undressed, and my husband goes, "Where have you been?" I'm like, "You know where I've been." He goes, "What were you doing?" I said, "You know what I was doing. I've been telling you for an hour, because I'm just regurgitating everything that happened." And I said, "Why are you asking it?" He goes, "Because it looked like you have a love bite on your leg. Looks like you've been having sex." And I looked down, and where that pain had been in my leg was a perfect bite mark. Perfect.
One last here. This is for you before I leave.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it never, up until that point, even though I've had encounters where I've felt things touching me or pushing me or whatever, it never occurred to me that I could actually have that kind of physical damage. And it's happened more since then.
Well, wasn't it Martha that told us that sometimes at Hill House, when you get to
Oh,
the top of the stairs, that you will actually experience a scratch across your face?
yeah. Yeah. I like watching the videos at Hill House where people run out screaming at the house, and they make me laugh.
Well, they want to experience it, and then when they do, it's such a shock to their system. Uh, oh, this is fun until they get touched.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, or a scary thing. That's where people's emotions just run on adrenaline and get
Yeah.
high. But I
Which
don't
is
know.
why when someone wants a thrill, they get it at night. They do this at night because that's, under the cover of darkness.
Yeah. Yeah.
But spirits are 24/7, not
I'm
just
going
at
to tell
night.
you, the most intense experiences I've had have always happened during the day. Always during the day. Bright sunshine day, you know.
So maybe you will understand this and help others understand it. We went to a house that said, we have negative energy here, and a woman passed in this house, and we think it's her, blah blah blah. Well, come to find out, it's not her. It is the man who was living there, who is still living, not in the home. He's moved out of the home, but he was the, shall we say, archbishop of negativity, and he left behind his sludge.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
He didn't have to die to leave behind his negativity. And when we cleared the house and we talked to the spirit, um, it was like, I want to stay. I like it here, and I like these people, and I like this energy. And so the agreement between the people who lived there and the spirit who lived there was, as long as things didn't go wonky or sideways or disappear, she could stay all she wanted.
How can you argue with that? I mean, I have my own personal ideas. I think that part of our job, if you believe in an afterlife and if you believe in spirits, is making sure that they're where they need to be. Do
Uh-huh.
they need to be here? Do they need to go on? Are we supposed to, Carol Ann, go toward the light? What are we supposed to do? And I've had this discussion a lot with a friend of mine about what is our ethical um, obligation encountering spirits. Do and so I'm not going to say I have a firm cut and dry policy on that. But like if I go to like a professional haunted house where this house is haunted, and something like Haunted Hill or like that, they tell you in their agreements a lot of times they don't want you messing with their spirits.
Right.
I just don't go because I know I know me that if I encountered a spirit that I thought was unhappy and needed to go, I would help them do that. But yet I've signed a legal agreement over here. This is my legalism coming out. I'm going to violate that. So I just don't put myself in that position where I have to make that decision.
Well, I have to agree with that, because if you're causing trouble here, you're obviously not happy here. So it's time for you to move on.
Somebody calling you.
Yeah, I don't know who it is, and I
Talk
don't
to them.
understand.
Say hello. I want to see who it is. Who is it? Who
Who's
is
it?
it?
Who's it?
You're on the air. Who is it?
Um, I want I want spirits to know that you don't have to stand around here and be angry. It's time for you to move on and find your space.
And if they're hurting people and scratching people and stuff, no, you're not staying here. No, 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 no. You're
No,
you're going.
exactly. And that's the way
So
I feel about it too. But if your business is scaring people, because that's what that is, they can come here and have that experience. Oh yay, I'm going over here so I can get scratched and have this experience.
yeah, why do people love the idea of getting frightened? Isn't that kind of interesting? We love roller coasters because they scare us. We love haunted houses because they scare us. What
No,
is it?
no, no, I don't. I do this because I know that there are entities out there, just like anything else. There are spirits that need to move on. And that's why I do this. If people are unhappy, if people feel icky in their own home, if people feel that there's something there that doesn't want to be there or that is trying to cause trouble, they don't want them there.
Well, see, I think there's something wrong with me. I don't get afraid doing this stuff. And I keep telling myself, you should probably be afraid, but I'm not. I just, and I don't even really get an adrenaline rush unless something really, well, when that one thing tried to take my eyeball out with the horn, I got an adrenaline rush with that. But, um,
I just want people to feel safe in their own homes.
exactly,
Because if
exactly.
someone feels there's something in their home that does not belong there, then we need to do some sort of intervention. And that's, to me, that's what being a paranormal investigator is about.
We're kind of
Do,
like exterminators getting rid of rats.
yes, but as well, sometimes it's not about an entity. Sometimes it's about what you make.
Mhm. Yeah,
Sometimes it's you.
I just had a client or a potential client a couple of months ago, and she wanted her house cleansed and a blessing, because sometimes we just go and do blessings. We can actually go to a house and just do a blessing. Those houses do exist. And because of the circumstances, I refused. And I told her, I said, there are other things going on here. You're drawing a lot of negative energy into this house. A lot of this is your energy acting out because there were some conditions that she needed to address about herself. And I
Mhm.
said, I can come here, I can do the cleansing, I can do the blessing, and it won't stick. I'd be back here in 6 weeks at least, you know? And I said that's to me, that's unethical on my part to do that with you having the expectation that your life is now full and taken care of when all we did was put a band-aid on a really bad wound. And
And I
so I
don't
didn't.
think, I suppose there are paranormal investigators out there that are willing to do that
Well, I
because they
think that
make
there's
money
paranormal
from,
investigators that deal with the spirits, but there are people out there. I think what is more accurate that we need to think about is we need to have energy investigators because there's the energy of the living, and then there's the energy of the dead, and then there's energy of physical items, there's the energy of the land. It's not just about whether or not it's a ghost or a demon or whatever. There's
Mhm.
so, like I said, it's so many layers, and you have to go in there and decipher that. I can't quit touching my rocks this morning. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, what? That's kind of weird.
That's just me. I'll
You're
put,
just you're trying to keep yourself grounded.
yeah. This is my lapis, so you got to see this. Isn't this a beautiful piece of lapis?
Oh, wow, it is. That's big.
It is big.
Wow. Okay.
I used to could put it in my bra in between my breasts, but since I've had my boob reduction, it just falls through.
Well, everybody should understand that energy in the universe has always been there and it will always be there. It cannot be created or destroyed. It's how we use it. And it does change energy. Here's a simple exchange of energy. Wood, trees are grown. We put our effort into them. We water them. We fertilize them. They're grown. We cut them down and we burn them and release their energy to be used in the universe in another fashion.
Hmm.
So it's a whole circle. But that's just a simple explanation because there are other energies just like our own. If we so intended to stick around after we leave our bodies, we could.
I don't want to be here without my body. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Well, I'm not sure I do either, but the thing that's why we deal with anger entities or homes or situations where people are angry for no reason. It may not be their anger. It may be someone else fueling their anger, another
Well,
slice of energy.
well, you want to talk about energy too. Let's throw another layer on top of all of it. People are really starting to question alien interference as well.
Mhm.
You know, I don't have any background in that at all. I don't have any
I don't
personal
either.
knowledge of that at all. But I will say this, people tell me I'm an alien. And I can remember when I lived in Arkansas, we were about a mile from the airport, and I would lay out in the backyard when I was a little girl, and I'd watch the airport lights, and I'd be thinking to myself, "Oh, they need to come get me and take me home." I kept waiting for a spaceship to come and take me home.
Are you sure that's not your childhood imagination?
I don't know. It could have been, but the
Because we do.
bizarre
We have
truth.
a very, very convincing childhood imagination that takes place probably up to or 10, 11, 12. And it's,
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because Scott, my husband, and I were talking about this other day because he loves video games and stuff, and he did a lot of make believe as a child. I didn't do make believe as a child. I didn't, and I had a very vivid world in my head, but to try and dress up and act it out would have been so inadequate. It would have felt it'd been like eating a mud pie when you could have had pecan pie. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. To try and play act it out would have just, I don't know. It would have been like trying to color in a color book instead of watching a 3D movie. I mean, the comparison just didn't work for me. So I didn't do a lot of play. I lived in my head a lot, but I didn't play because he's kind of fascinated by the fact that I don't have a lot of hobbies and I don't get involved in a lot of people like reenactment of the history and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, no. And if I'm going to do it, it's going to be very accurate. You know, you don't get to wear your glasses if you're reenacting 1400 England. Those glasses have to come off. They didn't have glasses. You're just going to have to walk around blind because that's what they did. They walked around blind. I'm very specific that way.
well, I think that because of the energy that goes around, well, you know, I don't want to say undetected because it's not undetected. There are
Un,
sensitive
un,
people,
un, unrecognized.
maybe so, maybe unrecognized. Because if I feel any energy here that is not of me or of mine or positive, I want to get rid of it. And I do, in my own way, get rid of it.
Yeah, there's not enough room in my house except for my energy.
Uh,
I take up a lot of room. No, no, you're stepping on my toes. You got to go.
As a
I
child,
guess
my
I'm just a
grandmother,
control freak. What can I say? I'm just a control freak.
the wind would blow the door open, or was it the wind? But
Wasn't.
the door would blow open, and grandma would say, she would look up, she would acknowledge it. Well, come on in, but you got to behave if you're going to stay.
That's what my grandma would say.
I thought she was kidding.
My grandma used to say that too. I thought she was kidding too. Who knows?
And not until I was older, 15 years old, I said, Grandma, did somebody come in? Well, yes. Why did you think I just told them to behave? I said, okay.
Yeah. I can remember one of the few times in my life I've actually felt frightened is that I was talking to my grandma and it was a long conversation, but one of the questions was, can you see spirits? And she said, yes. She goes, I can see demons and I can see angels. I said, you can? And she goes, yeah, in fact, there's a demon right behind you. And I jumped 10 feet. I would not go in that room for a long time, for a long, long time.
Well, so this is not quite as bad as radio, but we can't have any dead air here. So where are we going?
Sure we can. They can look at us. We look cute.
No, we're not that cute. No, seriously.
Well, I don't know. It annoys me to think that people are taking advantage of other people's fear and insecurities and stuff, but I don't have a solution except that people really need to ask a lot of questions before they let other people come into their homes to do anything.
So as a group that is just forming, probably it's not a bad idea to be to say we've had background checks on every one of our group members, and they have been vetted through other issues, either by reading for someone or, so we're not considered false, fake, or whatever they,
Well, I believe in that because we've done this for our entertainment company. Luann and I have an entertainment business that we work together in called Miles of Smiles, which is who sponsors this little ditty that we're doing. And we have a team of readers, and all the readers have had background checks that are approved by the state of Texas. Same type of background checks that they use for vetting and approving private investigators. And they're also vetted by other professional readers to make sure that their readings are acceptable and authentic. And then the other thing that we do with our group is that we don't, because I just had a woman send me a request for a bid, and she goes, I have to tell you, if we hire you, I do not want any negative messages. And I'm like, I am surprised that you even have to say that. And
wow.
they've been this Halloween party for 15 years. And she says the last 3 or 4 years that they've had people out there that have actually made some of the guests cry. And I said, I just can't imagine, because I am adamant about this with my team. You only tell people things that will encourage them, uplift them, and empower them. I don't care if you see that they're going to get hit by a truck the minute they walk out the door. You don't tell them that.
No, but you can tell them to be cautious when you're driving, you can
Hey, that's
work it,
just good advice.
but you can work it in a way that,
Yes.
but I'm not the only person I've ever told negative things to is someone I have read for a long time.
Well, you've
Not
got a
just,
relationship there.
yeah, not just 10 or 15 minutes at a party. It's just, first of all, you may be getting information from God knows who when you've got 20 people at a party or 10 people at a party. It could be for anyone. It may not be for that person sitting in front of you. And I've had several times when people would invite their spouse or the person that came to the party with to sit at the table. It could be for them.
Well, and you have to remember, if your words are energy and energy has power, maybe you're creating more power for something that may or may not happen. So you have, I did fudge on my own rule once. This woman walked in my room at a party several years ago. I went, oh my God, she's pregnant, and she doesn't know it. I just, and she kept asking me if she was pregnant. And I'm like, this is a party. I don't do marriage. I don't do divorce. I don't do death. I don't do pregnancies, births. It's a party. We keep it light. Can you hear my dogs?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm sorry. So anyway, but she kept asking me. And so I just kind of worked it into the reading. I said, something wonderful is going to happen to you in the very near future. It will be life changing. It will change your life forever. And it will be very costly. I was being funny. She didn't pick up on it. She called me 3 days later and she goes, I finally figured out what your message meant. I said, what? And because I didn't even remember. And she goes, I'm pregnant. And you were trying to tell me I was pregnant. Oh, well.
Yes, I had one of those incidences where you're reading for someone and you're thinking, "Oh crap, the cancer's back." And this is a 15-minute read at a tavern in downtown. And what
Yeah.
do I say? And she was going to Australia to live. And I said, just remember to do your due diligence with your physician here and double check with them and make sure you are good to go
Yeah,
to your foreign
there's
country.
lots of ways to say things.
Uh-huh.
I've had several people I said, you know what, a good physical would not be a bad idea right now. And they've come to me later saying, thank God you told me that because I found out this was wrong or this was wrong. And I wouldn't have done that except that, that just seemed like the right thing to do when you said, go get a physical.
Well, and that's what you have to do. You don't blurt out, holy shit, your cancer's back. What's wrong with you? You can't, that is not ethically responsible.
No, no. So,
And if you're going to get a reading or you're going to get a group of people coming to your house, where are they ethically? Where do they draw the line?
hey, speaking of ethics, I got another issue I want to throw out here.
Uh-uh.
So I was privy to a conversation, which means I was eavesdropping on a conversation in a restaurant yesterday. I love to listen to other people. And they were talking about the homeless begging for money
Uh-huh.
and comparing it to the GoFundMe things that we see online. And one person was saying that they're no different. They're both begging. And the other person was taking exception to that. What do you think?
Well, you're asking for money. The difference is you have money to put a roof over your head or gas in your car. You just need help with this one thing. I've considered, there's one called Kickstarter about businesses, and I've considered asking for X number of dollars to kickstart my business, but it's still begging. You're still
Well,
requesting
why is one acceptable and the other not? That's my question.
because people are uncomfortable with the population that cannot feed themselves.
Oh, whoop-de-doo. They're
And
uncomfortable.
yes, they are. They're uncomfortable because they don't feel it's their responsibility. They don't feel a responsibility to others to help them put food on the table or in their bellies.
Well, you know what makes me uncomfortable is to know, like, and I don't know everybody's circumstances, so I'm not saying that, but a lot of people, if you own your home, you can get an equity loan. Okay. So if you have assets that you can work out off of, why would you ask people to help you with certain things when you have other options? Why
Right.
not explore those other options?
And um,
The homeless
you
people
know,
don't have a lot of options. I mean, they have some, I'm sure, that they haven't explored, but maybe they don't, you
the
know?
homeless, the homeless people who are having trouble, some of those people are even working and having trouble feeding themselves because once they have a job, I befriended a lady and her son because the son looked so much like mine, and I was just taken aback. How would I feel if my son was homeless? How would I feel if I was there in that position with him? And so it's late October, the wind's blowing, he's wearing shorts. And I said, sweetheart, what in the hell are you doing out here? He goes, well, I came down here to be with my mom. She's homeless. And I'm trying to support her right now. And I just haven't even graduated from high school. Those people, you know, you think, well, go find your resources. They can't find their resources. Yes, they had a phone. They each had a phone, but it was only for telephone calls. It didn't want internet access. So I went back to my office and I did research on all these resources that I felt that they could use in Dallas. They were in North Dallas, near 635 and Greenville. And so I wrote them out. I print them out and I told them what each one was for. I told them how to find it. I told them the bus route to take to get there. Now they have a roof over their head. They can shower the woman said, I couldn't keep a job because I couldn't shower and keep my uniforms clean.
Mm, man.
So this is where it is. It's not, it's that they may not know what the resources are available to them. They can't go and look it up. And not only that, they don't have the wherewithal to think that there are resources for people like them. They just think, well, I'm down, I'm out, I'm out of my luck. I don't have a home, and I've been abandoned, and they have all kinds of feelings, all kinds of things. And these people still maintained a faith in God. So I was more than willing to go my extra mile to do what I could do to show them what the resources were available to them and how to get to them.
I love what you said about their faith in God. I left a gig last month late at night, and it was down in Deep Ellum, and this big man, approached me, and he's just smiling, and I stopped and I smiled at him, and we're just talking. He goes, "Isn't God good?" And I said, "Yes, He is." I said, "What are you doing up this late?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just wandering around and stuff." He goes, "I'm just trying to take care of business." I said, "Well, isn't it time for you to go to bed?" And he goes, "Yeah, but I don't have one." He goes, "I'm homeless." I said, "But yet God is good." He goes, "Yes, ma'am, I'm breathing, you know?" And I said, "I love that you said that." He goes, "I want to hug you." He goes, "Because your eyes make me smile." So I'm standing on the street corner hugging this big man. And Scott's there, and he comes around the car, kind of because he's picking me up, going, "Okay, what's going on here?" And he starts talking to Scott, and he gives Scott a hug. And, it just, stuff like that, it just makes me stop in awe of
Well,
everything
and
in this
so I don't
universe.
know where a lot of people are coming because they don't take the time to speak to someone who's standing on the corner asking for $1. I also had a man who was looked like he was able to work any kind of job, who said he was homeless, and I stopped and handed him some sort of breakfast. I don't remember what, probably whatever I had picked up for myself, and put a $5 bill in it. And I said, I don't know what's going on for you, but you don't need to be hungry. And so I handed him the breakfast.
Yeah.
And he said that how grateful and thankful he was to be able to eat.
Yeah. When we still had our counseling center, our family council center, when Sharon was still alive over in Richardson, there was a guy that lived over in that area, which is really weird because Richardson doesn't, they don't have a lot of patience with the homeless. And this was
No,
over
they
in
don't.
Richardson. And we had a full kitchen in our center, and he used to come in, and if I wasn't there, my daughter was there, and one of us always wound up cooking breakfast for. And I just loved having him there. I mean, I just loved having him there. And then he disappeared, and I never did find out what happened to him. I don't know if he got hurt or if he wound up in jail, and I missed him. I really did. So
Well, there are all kinds of reasons that people are on the corner asking for $1 or whatever you'll give them, or the breakfast that you have in your car that you were going to take to work with you. Like you're going to miss a meal, you know. But it's about maybe they don't have the resources. Maybe they don't know how to find the resources. Maybe
maybe
they,
they don't have the mental capacity either. There's
correct.
a lot of mental illness on the
Yes.
streets.
Yes. And, then you have the issue of young men that come back from Afghanistan that have PTSD that don't want to be enclosed in a space.
Right. Yeah, there's this
So
one
they're
woman that I talk to a lot. She's been on the streets for 25 years. She's getting older now, and she would like to have a residence at this point, but she's a convicted felon. She hasn't had a job in 25 years, and she's enjoyed living on the streets, but now her health and her age are making her need to make some changes, and she doesn't know what to do and how to do it. So I was able to locate her daughter and put them in contact, and hopefully that has given her
But
some
that's
resources.
just it. It takes someone like you or I to say, what's the issue? to take just a few minutes. That doesn't mean we have to take them home with us, but we need to
Well, I
take.
did once, but he turned out to be a bank robber.
Well, you have to be able to protect yourself. You can't, and there were some other kids that were, I don't take much stock in people who have nice cars, nice this, nice that. It's how you treat me. Well, for the first time in my life, I had a brand new car, and it was nice and it was big. And these kids were staring in the window, and I realized my purse is sitting right there.
Oh
I
no.
know you. And I said, You do. And I rolled the window up because I'm turned to talk to this young man who has no pants on, and it's freezing cold outside. He has on shorts.
Yeah.
And I thought, Well, you're not having my purse today.
Right. Right.
So you
There's
have
all
to,
kinds of evil out there. I mean, you can't have a Pollyanna attitude and not have a practicality to go with it.
right.
There has to be a balance.
But there are ways to help people without feeling sorry for them or taking them home with you. And why are you looking down at them except by the grace of God? There goes you.
Well, there's a difference in feeling sorry for people and having compassion. And I like to think that I have compassion for them. Um, and, I've been very wealthy in my life and I've been very broke in my life,
Uh-huh.
and that could be our story, any of our stories out there. If you don't have community and you don't have friends, and you don't have connections. So, yeah, I just,
Well, I don't know what the answer is for the homeless, except that, I'm kind of like you. We don't need another dog park. We need a park that has uh, the little tiny houses or whatever they're calling them this week with a bed, a sink, uh, and a central place for people to shower so they can stay clean, so they can have a job, so they can wash their clothes. It doesn't have to be the Hilton.
well, I have a strategy and a plan, and my granddaughter says that she will make it happen if I don't get to make it happen. We want to have a town, for lack of a better phrase. And it's so funny, your lips are showing up on your hand. um,
Oh,
and
I
so
I
in
don't
this,
need to cry today. I'm sick.
yeah, don't cry, baby. Don't cry. So in the center of the town is a community center. And so it's where you can play games and you can have classrooms and things like that. And next to that is an animal shelter. And the reason why this town is going to have an animal shelter is because people will donate money to animals before they will people. So that will be something that helps us to generate income. We'll have a hydroponic garden that's fed by a huge pond that's stocked with fish so that we can grow our own food and have fish and things. And we can even raise rabbits for food and other small game for food. We'll have many homes on it that will house at least one adult up to 3 children. And they'll have their own little tiny gardens at each of the homes. We would have a thrift store to do two things, not to just generate income, but so that we can teach these women that are homeless with their children how to run a business, how to merchandise, how to run a register, how to do all these things, and also provide clothing for them so that they can get clothing to go on job interviews.
Uh-huh.
We'll have the animals that we will shelter, but we'll also, adopt them out. But we'll also have a lot of them trained as emotional support animals. And we will have the women and people in the center certified in training and help with the training of those as well. And that's something I've been trying to put together now for 10 years. At one time I had someone that was going to donate the property, and we were going to get 20 acres in South Dallas for this, and it would have been great because it was close to the bus line. But that person passed before they could make arrangements to transfer that property over to the council. So I'm still not giving up on this. I still think it's a viable idea
Well, there is a way to start small and just build on it.
But I got to
Mm.
have property to start. I got to have,
Correct. But
and
there is
that's
a way to build on it. There is a way to make it happen. But I don't think, regardless of whether these things are offered, there are still going to be those few who do not want to be
oh, sure, sure,
sheltered,
sure.
who do
We
not
can't
want
solve
to.
all the problems. We can't
Right.
solve all the, but that's my thought, and that's my idea. And some of the women I see would be women that I guess need help a lot. When I had my bail bond business and in the course of my investigation business, I've run across a lot of women that work in the sex industry,
Uh-huh.
and they stay there long past what they thought they would be there because they don't have options or they don't believe they have options.
Or they've bypassed options because it doesn't pay as much.
Well, most of these women make a lot of money, or they make money, but a lot of it goes into bailing their boyfriends out of jail, buying drugs and alcohol.
Uh-huh.
They're always playing catch up with the rent, catch up with this, because
Yes.
a lot of them don't know how to manage money and manage their finances. A lot of them get taken advantage of, and a lot of them have addictions. Not all. I didn't say all. I said a lot. So
Right. So you need a psychologist on board.
I knew this one woman though. She was a hoot. She used to come to my bail bond office and talk to me because she was always bailing her boyfriend out of jail. And she was a pole dancer. She was a stripper. And that girl drove around with $50,000 cash in the trunk of her car at all times.
Dang.
And
What's her
I
name?
know
I
it
need to
because
be her
I
friend.
saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. I know it. And she said that was her runaway money.
I would have been saying, baby, please don't leave it in the trunk of your car.
I was like, are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Well, you do have a point when you're in that position and you don't know what might happen, and you don't know if you may need to walk off with just the clothes on your back. She had a point.
Well, I don't know what she was running away from because she was always bailing that boyfriend out. So she wasn't running away from
Well,
him. I was
first
like,
of all,
leave him.
stop bailing him out of jail.
That's what
Leave
I
him
told
in
her. I said,
there.
leave him. I said, "Yeah, I refused to do his bond one time." She goes, I'll just go to someone else. And I said, all right. I mean, she bailed him out. He was a petty thief and he was bad at it. He got caught all the time, all the time. I told him, I said, you need to rethink this. You're not good at it. We need to find out what you're good at. Thievery is not what you're good at.
Well, and people can change when they want to change.
Yeah.
I had a cousin that became a felon because she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She did jail time. She did penitentiary, big stuff. It was not Orange is the New Black. It was not that.
I've never
And
seen that shit.
well, I haven't bothered to watch it because I know it can't possibly be the real thing. And I don't want to be entertained that way, but she has brought herself back full circle because at least she learned a skill in electronics.
And now
And
she's
she,
hacking into government records and ripping them.
no,
No.
no, no, no. She was able to get a federal clearance
Oh, that's awesome.
to work at TI. It was not an easy thing she did. It took a long time, but she was able to be vetted by them and to get that federal clearance after all she'd been through.
That's
So
awesome.
don't give me the crap about it can't happen.
It can happen, but you have to have the idea. That's the first thing. You have to have
Perseverance.
the willpower. You have to have people that can help you find the answers to what you don't know.
And she left her husband that was constantly in and out of jail. And she, because she tried how many years to get pregnant and never could. And She had a focus. Herself and her child was her focus, and to have a better life. And now it's been 7 years, maybe six.
She believed in herself.
And she believed in herself, and I believed she could do it. Her parents believed she could do it. But she's done all the work. No one did the work for her. She did it.
Well, we've talked about some really interesting things, at least to me today. And Luann's sick. I'm going to let her go rest. Um, I will close with this enormous plug. Miles of Smiles Entertainment. We have a new reader on our team. I'm really excited. I don't know her real well yet, but I feel like she's a daughter to me already because we have so much in common, and she likes the F word just like I do. So we bonded over that. And she's
She's
a
a good
psychic.
person. I know her a lot better than Deborah does, so she's a
She
good
does.
person.
Luann brought her to me, and I'm real thankful for that. And she's a psychic medium, and she's been vetted. And I can't even begin to describe how surprised, shocked, pleased, enthralled I was for the reading that she did for me. And so just know that we do offer our wonderful talents as entertainment. We're there to encourage, empower, and uplift you. And if you'll go to milesofsmilesevents.com, you can see all that and our specialty services as well. And if you need to entertain or have something fun for a part of your event, think about us. We're the
Yes,
real deal. We're the real deal.
I did it. I did a hocus pocus party where I did the readings for everyone, and then they watched Hocus Pocus, the new one that has come out. So it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I tell you, I think I just had the best gig of my life because of the energy. And I was in East Texas this weekend doing handwriting analysis. I'm a handwriting therapist, so I'm the real deal there too. And I was surrounded by people with PhDs, master's degrees. They were professors at this college, uh, big wigs in companies because they were all big donors to the college and stuff. And they're all just enthralled by because they would sit and ask me, explain how this handwriting therapy works. It's not about changing your handwriting to make it pretty. It's about changing your handwriting to uh, make shifts in your personality so to get more of what you like about yourself develop stronger. And they were like, thank God, keep doing what you're doing. And they were just so uplifting and encouraging to me because of the efforts of this work and how we accomplish things. It was really, I don't know, I felt more than validated. I felt
Yes.
appreciated. I felt respected. So it was wonderful. It was really wonderful. Good grief, my email's blowing up and keeps going across my screen. So
They want us. They want us so bad.
all right, y'all, we will see y'all next week. And you can email us at fun@milesofsmilesevents.com if you want a question, ask any questions about anything, or if you want to even book a gig or whatever. And we will see you guys next week. And there's Herbal Lou's Apothecary. I need one of those. Where's
I
mine?
only ordered one. They were $10 a piece.
Whatever. Can't
I need to
advertise.
find somewhere that is less, that is not quite as expensive
Where'd you order
or
that one?
economical.
Where'd you order that one?
Vistaprint.
Oh, see, I'm having to drink my protein shake out of the little cardboard thing. I don't have a neat cup like that. All right, tell everybody goodbye.
Bye now. Maybe I'll be able to talk again at 4 p.m.
Well, I don't see it slowing you down.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, y'all.